Let's talk today about the moment of inertia. We here is this one is the new topic of this class 12. So that you can see here one of a rigid body which is revolving, which is rotating around this axis. This one y and y dash is axis, and this rigid body has many particles. M1, M2, M3, and all these particles may have also inertia, moment of inertia. How could we calculate all their moment of inertia, and which would be the momentum of inertia of this rigid body? Our aim is here to find that thing here. So here is I have given some knowledge about this. The before starting this part, we should know this first. What is inertia? Inertia is one of a property of a body. The one of property which is with the body, which tries to remain body at rest state or the motion. Suppose any body is at rest, it keeps at a rest position. It doesn't let any object go in a motion state. If any object is in a motion, then it doesn't let that object go in a rest position. So which the property keeps any object in its state of rest or state of motion, we call the inertia, which I have written it here. And here is, if a body is rotating, here our term is momentum of inertia, not only the term inertia. It is property. And what is momentum of inertia? Here is what if a body is rotating, is in the rotation about any axis. At that time, the inertia related with that body is called momentum of inertia. When body is in rotation, then the inertia related to it is called momentum of inertia. I have written this. How can we take all this momentum of inertia related to this rigid body? Here is technique given. Let us consider a rigid body is rotating about a y and a y axis. What you can see here in a figure, I have written here y and a y dash. Around this y and y dash axis, this rigid body is rotating. And this rigid body contains many particles. They may have also momentum of inertia. We calculate momentum of inertia of m1 particle, m2 particle, m3 particle, and mn particles are in this rigid body. So we calculate their separate inertia, momentum of inertia. Here the body has n number of particles. The n number of particles having the mass m1, m2, m3. Mn mass, where the perpendicular distance from the axis of a particles, from the axis of the rotation of a particles, axis of a rotation. Here is rotation. I have forgotten to write here axis of a rotation. That this m1 particles is at r1 perpendicular distance from the axis of rotation. M2 particles m2 having mass particles is at r2 perpendicular distance from the axis of rotation. Likewise, the r3 distance of a perpendicular distance of a m3 mass having object is many here masses, and that means particles are in it. I have written this perpendicular distance r1, m1, m2, m1, mn masses. They are at r1, r2, r3, rn this perpendicular distance from the axis of rotation. Then the momentum of inertia about the y dash axis, the y dash axis, about this y dash axis, how much momentum of inertia? Our aim is to calculate this one. So we can write I equal to I1 plus I2 plus I3 plus In. These particles has I1 momentum of inertia, another particles has I2 momentum of inertia, another particles has M3, that means I3 momentum of inertia. When we calculate all the particles which are in this rigid body, their momentum of inertia, when we add them, that would be the total moment of inertia of that rigid body. So this one is I1 equal to m1 r2 square is the formula of the m1 particles momentum of inertia. This is another particles momentum of inertia. This is third one's particles momentum of inertia. Likewise here mn, that means n number of particles. When we add their momentum of inertia, that would be the total momentum of inertia of that rigid body. And we can write this is in this form, summation form. The I equal to 1 to n, we write, we can get this way in a mathematical form, and I have written this part here. So from this one mathematical term we can define, therefore I have written here, you can see what is momentum of inertia. If you have a question, you know the how, what is the definition. From this we are going to define. Look, momentum of inertia of a body is the sum of product of particles mass, you know, the product of the particles mass and the square of perpendicular distance from axis of a rotation. This is square of perpendicular distance from axis of a rotation, r square, and mass of a particles. When we multiply them and we add all the particles momentum of inertia, we get total moment of inertia of this rigid body. In this way we can calculate. Thank you.